Have you ever heard that word, Montessori, and found yourself wondering, what does it really mean? Beyond the beautiful wooden toys and the whispers of child-led learning, what's truly at the heart of it? It can feel like another one of those parenting philosophies whispered about on playgrounds or in online groups, sometimes with a touch of awe, sometimes with a hint of confusion, maybe even a little intimidation. And if you're anything like me, or like so many parents I've talked with over the years, you're just trying to find what feels right for your family, for your child. You're looking for ways to connect, to understand, to support that little person growing up so fast right before your eyes. It's not about chasing trends, is it? It's about finding genuine, heartfelt ways to nurture their spirit and their mind. So today, I thought we could just talk. Not in a formal, lecture-y kind of way, but like old friends sharing a cup of tea. We'll gently peel back the layers of Montessori, explore some of its core ideas in a way that hopefully feels practical and, most importantly, compassionate. We're not aiming for perfection here, just a deeper understanding and perhaps a few sparks of inspiration you can carry into your own beautiful, messy, wonderful family life. How does that sound? Let's start then, not with a set of rules, but with a person. Because understanding the heart of Montessori really begins with understanding the heart of its founder. You see, Maria Montessori wasn't initially an educator in the way we might think. She was a physician, one of Italy's first female doctors actually, back in the late 1800s. A true pioneer. And her journey into education began with children who were, at the time, largely overlooked. Children in psychiatric clinics, children living in underserved communities in Rome. What she observed, with her keen scientific mind and her deep sense of compassion, was that these children, when given the right kind of environment and the right kind of support, possessed an innate drive to learn, to explore, to become independent. It wasn't about her teaching them in the traditional sense, but about her creating a space where they could teach themselves. Imagine that shift in perspective. It was revolutionary. She saw their potential, their inner wisdom, when many others didn't. And that, for me, is the real starting point. This profound respect for the child, this unwavering belief in their inherent capacity. It wasn't about a specific set of materials initially, but about observation. She watched them. She learned from them. And that's something we can all do, can't we? Just pause, truly see our children, and wonder at the marvel of their unfolding. It doesn't require a special degree, just a willing heart and open eyes. Sometimes, the most profound insights into our children come not from books, but from simply being present with them, noticing what lights them up, what challenges them, what they're naturally drawn to. Now, from those observations, Maria Montessori developed some really beautiful ideas about how children learn and grow. And one of the most powerful is something she called the absorbent mind. Think about it. From birth to around age 6, children are like little sponges. They don't just learn, they absorb everything in their environment, effortlessly, unconsciously. Language, culture, social norms, the feeling of a space, the emotions of the people around them. It all just seeps in and becomes a part of who they are. It's quite awe-inspiring, isn't it? And a little daunting, perhaps, because it means that everything around them matters. The way we speak to them, the way we handle objects, the atmosphere in our homes. It's not about creating a sterile, perfect environment. Heavens no. Life is messy, and that's okay. But it is about being mindful. For instance, if we want our children to be gentle, do we model gentleness in our own interactions, even when we're frustrated? If we want them to love reading, do they see us enjoying books? It's not about grand gestures, but the small, everyday things. Maybe it's narrating what you're doing as you prepare a meal, using rich vocabulary. Look, I'm slicing the bright red tomatoes, and now I'm tearing these green basil leaves. Smell how fragrant they are. That's feeding their absorbent mind. Or perhaps it's simply being present and unhurried when they're trying to button their own coat. Even if it takes ages, you're communicating patience and respect for their efforts, and they absorb that. It's these quiet moments of connection and modeling that build such a strong foundation. And closely linked to this idea of the absorbent mind is another gem from Dr. Montessori: sensitive periods. Have you ever noticed how your child might become utterly obsessed with one particular thing for a while? Maybe it's lining up all their toys, or constantly asking why, or wanting to climb everything in sight. That's often a sensitive period in action. Dr. Montessori observed that there are specific windows of time when children are intensely drawn to learning particular skills or concepts. During the sensitive period, learning that skill is almost effortless, joyful, and driven by an incredible internal motivation. For example, there's a sensitive period for language, for order, for movement, for small objects, for social interactions. It's like their inner guide is saying, now is the time to master this. And if we can recognize and support these periods, learning becomes such a natural, flowing process. So, how do we do that in our busy lives? It starts again with observation. Watch what fascinates your child. Are they suddenly interested in tiny details on the floor? Perhaps it's a sensitive period for small objects. You could offer them a little basket with interesting, safe, small items to explore. Or point out the ladybug on a leaf during your walk. Are they trying to help with everything, wanting to do things myself? That's a beautiful, sensitive period for independence. Instead of seeing it as them being difficult, we can try to find safe ways for them to participate. Maybe they can help stir the pancake batter, even if it gets a bit messy, or have their own little cloth to wipe the table. It doesn't mean turning your home into a formal classroom. Not at all. It's about attuning yourself to their developmental needs and offering opportunities that resonate with their current passions. Think of yourself as a facilitator of their discovery, a loving guide who prepares the path a little, then steps back to let them explore. This leads us naturally to another cornerstone of Montessori, the prepared environment. Now, prepared environment can sound a bit grand, can't it? Like you need to go out and buy all sorts of special furniture and materials. But really, at its heart, it's about creating a space, whether it's a whole room or just a corner of a room, that is tailored to the child's needs and fosters their independence, concentration, and sense of order. It's a place where they can feel capable and respected. Think about it from their perspective. Imagine living in a world built for giants, where everything is too high, too heavy, too complicated. A prepared environment scales things down. This could mean having a low shelf where they can easily reach their own toys and books, and, importantly, put them away. It might mean a small stool in the bathroom so they can reach the sink to wash their hands, or a little pitcher and cup so they can pour their own water when they're thirsty. It's about accessibility and order. When things have a place and children know where that place is, it gives them a sense of security and control. It also, surprisingly, helps them to focus. Have you noticed how a cluttered, chaotic space can make us adults feel overwhelmed and distracted? It's the same for children. A calm, orderly environment can actually help them to concentrate more deeply. And this isn't about having a Pinterest-perfect home. Believe me, my house certainly isn't. It's about thoughtful little adjustments. Maybe it's decluttering a play area and rotating toys so there are fewer choices out at one time, but those choices are more engaging. Perhaps it's creating a cozy reading nook with a few favorite books, or even involving your child in simple tasks like setting the table or tidying up their playthings, making it a shared, gentle routine rather than a battle of wills. These small things empower them, they build their confidence, and they quietly teach responsibility. Now, if the child is the explorer and the environment is their carefully prepared landscape, what then is our role as adults, as parents, as caregivers? Dr. Montessori had a very specific idea about this. She often referred to the adult as a guide or a director/directress, but perhaps a more accessible way to think about it is as a respectful observer and a gentle facilitator. Our role isn't to be the constant entertainer or the dispenser of all knowledge. It's more subtle, more profound than that. It's about preparing that environment we just talked about, yes. But it's also about carefully observing our children to understand their needs and interests. When do we step in? When do we step back? That's the delicate dance. The Montessori approach encourages us to trust the child's inner drive to learn. So, if a child is deeply engrossed in an activity, perhaps they're trying to fit puzzle pieces together or carefully stacking blocks, the adult's role is often to protect that concentration, to not interrupt, not to rush in with help unless it's truly needed and asked for, or if there's a safety concern, of course. This respect for their concentration is so powerful. It allows them to develop focus, perseverance, and that deep satisfaction that comes from figuring something out for themselves. It also means modeling grace and courtesy. How we speak to our children, how we handle disagreements, how we care for our surroundings, they are watching, always watching, as we know from that absorbent mind. So, we strive to be the kind of person we hope they will become. Patient, kind, respectful, and when we inevitably stumble, because we're human, we model how to apologize, how to make amends. And that's a huge lesson too. It's a shift from being the sage on the stage to the guide on the side. It requires patience, oh so much patience, and a willingness to let go of our own agenda sometimes to follow their lead. It's about connecting with them, understanding their world, and offering just the right amount of support to help them take their next step. It's a beautiful, challenging, and deeply rewarding role to play. Now, with all this talk of child-led learning and following the child, there's a common worry that sometimes pops up. I hear it quite a bit. Is Montessori just a free-for-all? Do children just do whatever they want all day? And that's a really understandable question if you're just looking from the outside in. But here's where we need to look a little closer, beyond that particular buzzword. Because Montessori is absolutely not about chaos or a lack of discipline. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's about freedom, yes, but it's freedom within limits. Think of it like a beautiful, safe garden. The child is free to explore anywhere within the garden, to choose which flowers to smell, which paths to wander. But there's a fence around the garden, isn't there? That fence represents the limits that ensure safety, respect for others, and respect for the environment. In a Montessori setting, children do have a lot of choice. They can often choose what activity they want to work on, how long they want to work on it, and whether they want to work alone or with a friend, with appropriate guidance on how to do that respectfully. This freedom of choice is incredibly important. It fosters independence, decision-making skills, and that intrinsic motivation we've been talking about. When a child chooses their own work, they're naturally more engaged, more invested. However, those choices happen within a carefully prepared environment, with materials that are designed for specific developmental purposes, and there are clear expectations for behavior. For example, children learn that they need to use materials respectfully and return them to the shelf when they're finished, so they are available for others. They learn how to wait their turn if a material is being used. They learn how to move calmly. In the classroom, how to speak softly. How to resolve conflicts peacefully with guidance. This is what Dr. Montessori called discipline from within. It's not a discipline imposed by fear or rewards and punishments. It's a self-discipline that grows out of the child's ability to control their own movements, to make thoughtful choices, and to contribute positively to their community. It develops gradually, through practice, within that framework of freedom and responsibility. So if you see a Montessori classroom, it might look like children are all doing different things, and they are. But there's an underlying order, a deep sense of purpose in their activity. It's a busy hum, not a chaotic roar. And the adult is there, observing, guiding, and gently redirecting when needed, ensuring that the freedom of one child doesn't infringe on the freedom or well-being of another. It's a far cry from a free-for-all. It's actually a very thoughtful and structured approach to nurturing a child's natural desire to learn and become a capable, responsible, and considerate human being. It's about empowering them with choice, while also teaching them about the responsibilities that come with that choice. And isn't that a wonderful lesson? You know, as we walk this path of parenthood, trying to understand these different approaches, whether it's Montessori or something else entirely, it's so easy to feel overwhelmed, isn't it? To feel like we need to get it all right. But perhaps the real journey isn't about achieving some kind of educational perfection. Perhaps it's more about cultivating a deeper understanding, not just of these philosophies, but of our own unique children and of ourselves in the process. It's about finding those little moments of connection, those sparks of insight that help us navigate the everyday challenges with a bit more compassion, a bit more patience for our children, and yes, for ourselves too. Because this parenting adventure, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and we're all learning as we go. What truly matters at the end of the day is that loving connection we build, that safe harbor we create within our families, where our children feel seen, heard, and cherished for exactly who they are. And I truly believe that each of us has that incredible capacity within us, that wisdom, that strength, that deep well of love, to create that for our families. Sometimes we just need a little reminder, a little encouragement along the way. And I truly believe that each of us has that incredible capacity within us, that wisdom, that strength, that deep well of love to create that for our families. Sometimes we just need a little reminder, a little encouragement along the way.